I saw, my lord. I saw what I saw.
Good evening, sir. How are you? Which countries are you from? I'll be very courteous today. My informant suggests that there would be no iTunes tomorrow at the forthcoming WWDC 18 years of its tenure will be seized. Well, you think the keyboard is fixed, and now we have an immaculate machine. They used the keyboard as a decoy or a bait to perturb, to divert you from the fact that the actual demon is not a keyboard. It's still alive and well. It exists. It's at large. Right there. Like some coffee? All right. Coffee lake. The 9th generation coffee lake. Well, that's good. All right. The new Macbook Pro 2019 15-inch models is now available in 2 configurations. Buy the entry level with CPU upgrade. Why? I'm not talking about the mundane, i7, i9, 6 cores, 8 cores, 16 virtual cores. Now, this is too extraordinarily mundane. I'm talking about there's an underlying yet overrated feature inside the new i9 processor, the 9th generation, and this feature is underrated. It's underestimated. This feature is called the thermal velocity boost. This particular feature allows you to increase your processor's clock speed up over a certain period of time. It's like, well, when you're playing a racing game, on the left or the right hand side of your screen, you see the little tiny tube, the nitro tube. That's pretty much it. There has been a misconception among Apple Store's employees. Since 2011, when the customer asks, hey, what is Turbo Boost? Well, sir, it's a feature that allows your processor to overclock itself for a certain period of time. That's horse shit. And now at this very moment, we do have that feature, but it's an exclusive feature for the i9 processor, solely available for the i9 processor. My lord, you buy the entry level. Before you buy, you can't just buy it right off the bat. You have to buy it online. But I think it's easier than buying a custom to orders like Tesla Model 3. Albeit Tesla is having only 1 year left of cash to burn. Buy the entry level, the best model, with processor upgrade to i9 because we're gonna need that thermal velocity. Why didn't you just use the word speed? Oh, velocity sounded more elegant or luxurious. Entry level, i9 processor. Well, 16 gigabytes of RAM is fine, it's adequate. And you're gonna have to increase the storage capacity to 512. Oh, it doesn't make any sense to go for 256. Nowadays, you buy an iPod Touch, you got 256. What about the graphic card? You're gonna have to stick with the stock graphic card that came bundled inside. Why? Because, okay, today, you know what? I'm going to have fun. At least for me, because I really want to expound. Discrete, sequestered, distinct. Use the word you like. Graphic card. You might want to mark. What about if I buy the top of the line 15-inch Macbook Pro with 560? That one, you're going to have to understand. You're going to have to comprehend the disparity in your financial balance sheet is huge. The gap is humongous, at least for me. Well, if money is not the object, you wouldn't be watching this. Well, the disparity in your balance sheet is huge, but in real world test, in real life usage, I mean, are you a user or a tester? So the discrepancy in real life usage, it's subtle. You get what I mean? Between like i7, 6-core, i9, and this and that. I ain't gonna get into a debate. Listen, the 555 and 560, the 560, it's marginally faster, but it runs hotter. It generates higher temperature. What about the NVIDIA Vega Pro 16? You might say, Mark, then you are wrong then, I'll go for that. No, I'm not wrong. You might say things like, Mark, you don't know a thing. The Vega Pro has larger fans. Well, it generates higher temperature, but you know what? It has been built on like different infrastructure. You are wrong, Mark. I mean, you should have done more research. Okay, the card has a larger fan, so, but remember, my lord, please have a seat, my lord. I'll serve you nicely today, my lord. Remembers the 737 MAX Boeing. It crashed twice. Brutally murdered almost 40 people. The plan, albeit the card, the NVIDIA Vega Pro, well, has a huge fan that could effortlessly handle the higher temperature. But did you know that? Well, those tech journalists, they call this design. The design hasn't changed since 2016 for the MacBook Pro 2019. I'd like to call it not the design, brother, because, well, design is like aesthetic aspect of things. You buy a thing, Well, based on your emotion, not your rational perspective. So, the internal infrastructure, the vents, locations haven't changed since 2016. They, well, upgraded the graphic card, but they didn't build things up from the ground up. They should have like revamp or overhaul the whole thing, my lord. So you got what I mean? They used the keyboard. Well, okay, the predecessor of the thin membrane, silicon membrane underneath. Well, I've done my homework. That one seemed pretty opaque. This one is clear as okay. Now the keyboard is immaculate. But the actual culprit is the enclosure. Everything is under the same heat sink. And they haven't changed the enclosure since 2016. So the enclosure is the actual fatal flaw. And it's still right there. Regardless of the new, next generation Vega 20, 25, 26, whatever. So, by the end, I'm not saying you don't buy it. It's a fabulous machine. You buy the entry level, but before you can't just buy it right off the bat, you're gonna have to buy a CTO, stands for custom to order machine, from your local Apple Store site. You're gonna have to upgrade the processor to i9 in order to get that thermal velocity boost feature. Stick with 16 gigabytes of RAM. Upgrade the hard drive to 512. I don't recommend 1 terabyte just yet. At the moment, well, you're gonna have to spend your money afterward, because and stick with the entry level. Stick with the entry level graphic card, and you might consider buying something like an external GPU. You don't need to buy another workstation or the forthcoming Mac Pro, modular Mac Pro. You buy probably an external GPU and leave it at home with the NVIDIA Vega Pro, which is a fantastic card, but due to the enclosure's poor ventilation system, you won't get maximum result by gum. Why? Because the TDP, the thermal design power, the heat sinks of the machine would be the hurdle due to the sloppily selected locations of the vents of the enclosure. So that's the thing. So by the entry level, with processor upgrade, hard drive upgrade, and stick with the stock graphic card, and you might consider buying an eGPU or buying I don't think you're gonna do that. I was gonna say like the forthcoming, probably tomorrow on Monday, the new modular Mac Pro, anything. Well, it's entirely up to you. Before I go, my lord, I'd like to tell you something. There is no such thing as perfect specs. I mean, throughout my life as as a Mac guy, so to speak, I've seen people like prominent photographers or like journalists, whatever, in Thailand. They have been running like Final Cut Pro 10 on their like MacBook Airs, 11-inch, I might add. I mean, and last month, a friend of mine, she's a lawyer for UN. She asked me to kind of wipe everything out because she wanted to sell her top of the line MacBook Pro 15-inch because she needed the money, and the MacBook Pro 2019 is like the Boeing 737 Max. So you increase the size of the engine, but before that, you haven't redesigned or revamped the whole designs of the plane. So the engine is bigger, forcing the plane's nose to jerk up like this all the time. And they lately came up with a software called MCAS or something to force the plane's nose to kind of duck down. So during a whole flight, it's going to be like a futile or fruitless tug of war. Like, feel fun at people. You should have re-engineered the whole plane's infrastructure. That's the thing. Well, I'm a Mac bike coach, or well, should I be like a pilot or something? Thanks for watching, my lord.